Do you ever wonder why engineers put a radius on the inside of the corner? It's not just for cosmetic reasons. Although it helps for manufacturing, something deeper is happening inside of the material. When we're talking about deep down what's happening inside of that material, we're talking about the stress that is going through that material. Now, stress, when we start talking about the big picture on how to calculate what a part can handle, is going to be one of the main focus points. And it's a simple calculation. It's simply just the force divided by the area. Now, the force is very straightforward. And on this lesson, we're going to be talking only about tensile force, trying to rip that part completely in half by applying a load equaling opposite top and bottom. But the area is our cross-sectional area perpendicular to that load. Now, what does that mean? If we look at this example, and actually what we're going to be testing outside, this rectangular area here, as we're applying that force from top to bottom, if you think about it perpendicular, it'd be like cutting this part in half. This area is typically at the thinnest section of that material. However, we're using a square rectangle. It can be taken at any point. Cutting that in half, looking at that cross section, we're going to see the thickness and the width. Multiplying those two together gives us that area in which we're going to divide by the force. Now, this unit is always going to be the force per the square dimension of the unit that you're using. In imperial units, we're looking at pounds per square inch, or PSI. When the part is loaded in tension, the internal stress is distributed throughout the material. And with the rectangle being pulled in this way, the arrows show the stress being distributed evenly across the section. Now, for our baseline stress test, we're going to be using this rectangular chunk of rubber. And as we pull that tension, we're going to have that stress be distributed throughout that material. Now, that stress being evenly distributed is just going to show up as elongation. We're going to see a little bit of narrowing in the center and a longer part as a result of it. Now, that elongation is a deeper conversation for a different video. What happens though if we put a rectangular hole through the center of this part? Once we put a feature inside of our part, everything changes when it comes to the stress. Now, when we want to know what our maximum stress is inside of our part, there is an equation that shows the relationship of what's happening in it. Now, this equation right here is built around the idea of a circle being in the part, but you can change it to describe how a radius affects the corners. Now, it's a little bit hard to understand when you look at it with all the Greek letters, but let's break it down to make it much more simple. This Greek letter here is going to just say the stress. So we have our stress max and the stress that we're applying to our part. From earlier, stress is equal to our force divided by our area. So let's substitute these in to see something that we like a little bit better. We're going to pull down our constants, and then we're going to show that these two here, these Greek letters, are the size of the feature that is inside the part, and then the radius of our corner. Now, what's really important is that we care about this very small subsection of this equation. More particular, the radius. Now, as the radius goes to 0, as we approach a perfectly square corner and get smaller and smaller and smaller, then this number gets larger all the way to infinity. As this gets to 0, this turns into infinity. Infinity times 2 is infinity. 1 plus infinity is infinity. So, therefore, our stress max goes to infinity. Now, what does that actually mean? Once we start applying force on our part, we end up putting all of our stress max into that corner, or we have a concentration of stress there causing that failure point. Another way to look at this is through our CAD software, where we apply the same force, and we can see that blue equals low stress, red equals high stress, and we can see hot spots or red spots in all 4 of the corners. These sharp corners force the load to redistribute around the small radius that causes local stress to rise dramatically. For our square hole test, as we pull tension on this part, that sheet's going to stretch out and we're going to see distortion begin at our corners. These corners are experiencing higher local stress than the rest of the material, which can be seen in that distortion. This concentration of stress creates that natural failure point. The sharp corners behave mathematically like cracked tips. As the radius approaches 0, just like we predicted, the stress rises dramatically. Now, if 0 radius creates a stress concentration and a failure point, what does the opposite look like? Well, a circle. If we put a circle, same size, into our same part, how does that change the equation and how the stress is flowing through it? Now, again, we're going to focus on this one little small area underneath our square root. In this particular one though, our radius now is approaching the same size as our cutout. And when we approach that, we're gonna get this area to equal 1. Now the square root of 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So this little area right here is equal to 3. From there, we can now essentially say that our stress max is equal to 3 times our nominal stress or force divided by our cross-sectional area. Now 3 is still increasing our stress on our maximum area, right? We're still increasing our stress because we have a cutout and a feature that is affecting how it's flowing through. But in particular on this, as we apply that force outwards, we're gonna see that stress flow into our smaller cross-sectional areas. We can see in the animation, even though the stress increases around the hole, the smooth curvature prevents the extreme concentration seen around sharp corners. For our circle hole test, we don't have corners that have a stress concentration. Now our stress is gonna evenly flow around the outside of our hole here, making it so that our failure point now is at the smallest cross-sectional area of our part, which can be found on the sides of these holes. When we calculate the stress, it's much easier calculation on this. Now, all we have to do is remember that stress is equal to the force divided by the area, and that cross-sectional area of our part is gonna be the thinnest web around the outside of our circle.
Okay, that happened.
Now, when we're designing real-world parts, we're not gonna always have a circle in there to help reduce that stress and have it flow through the part. When we have a square part like this, we're gonna wanna put in some kind of radius. Even a small radius, like a 1/2 of an inch, is gonna directly change that section of the equation that we've been focusing on. 1/2 inch radius turns this from infinity to something that we can predict and calculate and understand the strength of that part. Albeit, we're never gonna get rid of the stress concentrations in those corners, we're always gonna see a failure point. Now the stress concentration on this is not completely eliminated. The large radius allows the load to redistribute more smoothly throughout the part. This reduces the stress concentration in the corners and allows the part to have a much higher load. In summary, the geometry of your parts directly affects how the stress interacts with it. And even small radiuses can decrease the stress concentration in those corners. Now, the next time you see a radius in the corner of a design, you're gonna know that it's not just cosmetic, it's mathematically protecting that part from stress. Now, when you're ready to make your parts, drag or drop that step file or DXF onto SendCutSend.com. We'll see you later.